Welcome to this YouTube channel of K-Leaders. I'm Francis Chen. In this episode, I will share with you answers to question 5 and 7 of my compliance test, which is about registered office and display of company name. Question number 5 is asking whether you can receive correspondence, including tax returns, from your registered office. If your answer is never or sometimes, then I would suggest you to look at the requirements. Under the Hong Kong Company Ordinance, every Hong Kong company must have a registered office in Hong Kong to which all communications and notices may be addressed. If the other party serve a notice to your registered office, then you cannot claim you cannot receive the same. No excuse. So that address is so important, and you are required to report the location of that address when you incorporate the company and subsequently in the annual return. During the year, if there are any change in such location, you need to notify the company registry in specified form within 15 days. If you do not comply with that requirement, you will be subject to a level 5 punishment and a daily default fine of $1,000 Hong Kong per day. So registered office is the address to receive all the official correspondence. If the client do have another address in Hong Kong, then the client will sometimes like to separate the official correspondence with the business correspondence so that they can deal with the official correspondence on a timely manner. So if the client do have a business address other than the registered office, then is obliged to obtain a branch registration at the business registration office of the Inland Revenue Department. So the business address can be the correspondence address to receive the business correspondence. The reporting authority for registered office, as I mentioned, is the company registry. Due to one-stop service, once the company registry is notified of the new location of the registered office, the business registration office will automatically be notified of the change. Any change in business address, you need to separately notify the business registration office for the update. So a registered office is not necessarily a business address nor a correspondence address. So that's why the company secretary, outside service provider will charge you separately for provision of registered office address and for the provision of correspondence address. So if your answer to question 5 is never or sometimes, I would suggest you to revisit your existing arrangement and remedy the situation, because otherwise you'll be penalized for not replying to, for example, the tax return or other official correspondence. Question 7 is about the display of your company name at your registered office and every other business venue. If your answer is no, let's look at the requirement. When you come to an office like the company registry or to my office, K-Leader's office, you will see a big logo. You can see the name there very easily, and somewhere you can find our full company name. So the law requirement is requiring every Hong Kong company to display their registered name in all their registered office and business venue, and every communication document or transaction instrument of the company or any other document that the common seal is affixed. And if you're a website, you also need to display your name properly there. If your registered name do contain both English and Chinese name, you should display both. And this is the original intention of the law, to display both the English and Chinese name if you have these two names in your certificate of incorporation. This requirement has been in place for many years, but including myself, I do not know that I have to display both English and Chinese name in the same document. But once the new company ordinance come into effect on the 3rd of March 2014, the registry has reminded everyone to display both the English and Chinese name if you have these two names in your certificate of incorporation. And that creates a lot of noises in the market, because I think people do not know they also need to display the Chinese name in the English document. They dispute that the other party who is in Europe or US, they do not understand Chinese characters. And that does not make any sense to include this Chinese name in the document. So in response to the noise in the market, the company registry has sought advice from the Hong Kong judiciary and sent a circular to clarify that if your name contains both in English and Chinese name, you can opt to display either one of this name or both. So even though with this circular, I understand that the lawyers still recommend the client to include both names, English and Chinese, in their transaction documents, because they said that the law is the law. So in order to comply with the law, they suggest you to include both names. Under the new company ordinance, you are allowed to display your name inside or outside your office. Under the Procedure Company Ordinance, you can display your name only outside the office, but not inside. So the new company ordinance do give you more flexibility. And if your company is not open to the public, then you may not need to display the name at that address. The other exception is that if the company does not have any accounting transaction at any time since incorporation, or the company has been in liquidation, then you may not need to display the name at that address. If you do not comply with the ordinance in this respect, then you will be subject to level 3 punishment. If you have more than 6 companies in your group or in your client portfolio, you can display the name electronically. And under the company ordinance, there are some specific requirement as to how often that name must be appeared in the computer system. So we mentioned earlier about communication documents and transaction documents. Communication document examples include business, letter, notice, and any other official publications such as service leaflet of the company. Transaction instruments includes contracts, invoices, receipts, that kind of things. We mentioned earlier that the company registry have the site inspection team. They will send the people to the registered addresses to inspect whether the company concerned have maintained the proper registers at the reported address. And at the same time, they will also check whether the name has been displayed properly. In the screen, you can see some cases whereby the company registry do prosecute for non-compliance of the ordinance in respect of the display of company name. If your company name do not display in the manner as just mentioned, I would suggest you to remedy the situation ASAP. I hope that this episode can remind you to make sure that you can receive all the correspondence at your registered address, and also to remind you about the requirements of the display of company name. In the next episode, I will share with you the other answers to other questions. See you next time and have a good time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching this video. If you like it, please give us a like and subscribe and share with your friends. Look forward to your continued support. See you next time. Bye-bye.